Build your own calzones. And me and Baby Doll, we love calzones. We eat them a lot, you know, real similar to a pizza. And in fact, we're going to use pizza dough. The recipe, I'm getting it right out of the Ninja Foodi XL Pro pressure cooker steam fryer owner's manual that came with the device. Of course, you can get the same thing off of their website. Now, I've got several things to go in it, and they have suggestions in here with a list of things, but you know you can put anything in a calzone you like. Now, I did one last night using that type dough right there, which I'll explain in a minute, and I did hit a few snags. So we're going to change some things. I used their directions, and we'll have to change a couple of things for that one anyhow. But I also did a little bit of temp test on their proofing setting, and I found it to be a little low, but I've got a video on that and I'm going to explain it. I'm not even sure it hurts, but you're going to see exactly what I found with what their temps were. So let's get this started and make some calzones. All right, right here is what we're doing tonight. Build your own calzone, and if you need to, you can screenshot that and print it out if you want to. But if you buy one of these Ninja Smart Lid Ninja Foodi Smart Lids, you'll have this book right here, or you can go on their website, and I'm sure it has it there also. Now, here's the one I used last night. This is the type I used, which comes from a store called Publix that's in the South, and I love it. I love the store, but they make these for you. You can go in and buy pizza dough that's fresh made. But I got to thinking, most people probably can't get that. And I did have a little bit of an issue using that type with the temps and all and the times they have here. So I decided to buy this kind, which they suggest a store-bought pizza dough. Well, this is the only kind I could find for a store-bought pizza dough that I thought everyone can get. So we're going to try it with one of these two tonight. In fact, it wants a 16-ounce dough. So this one's the closest. It's 13.8, and I do see it's classic crust, and this is thin, and I normally like thin, but I'm going to go with this one because it's closer to what they're asking for, because we got to open this up, split it in half, ball it up, and proof it for 30 minutes. Now, I got to explain a little bit about the proofing. You heard me say about the temps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this a little early. It calls for a 1/4 cup of water. I'm going to go ahead and put a 1/2 cup just to keep from running out. But I'm going to start this way early. Maybe not right now, but I'm going to set it up on proof. In fact, make sure you can see what I'm doing, and I'll start it now because I've already got water in there. I've already ran it a little bit. I put a 1/2 cup of water in there. I'm going to go and did my test, the one that showed the temps were low. So there it set it proof. It wants it set to 95, which by the way is as high as this unit will go. I'm going to go ahead and take the time to say an hour because it really doesn't matter to me. I just want it to stay on. And then when I put the dough ball in there, I'm only going to let it go for 30 minutes like they ask. But if you watch the video at the end, you'll see why I'm doing that, and I kind of explain it better then. But I want the unit preheated and at as close to 95 as it's going to get. So without any other explanation on that, pepperoni, Genoa salami, basil, baby spinach, shiitake mushrooms, some mozzarella. I'm not going to use these, but you could because I've got shiitake, and some Parmesan, and anything you want in them. And of course some type of marinara or some kind of pizza sauce. So once that right there, I'm going to let that run for a little while. I got it set for 1 hour and 5. I'll let it run for, say, 20 minutes, and you'll understand why when you watch the last of the video. And I'm going to get this out and get it started. So I'll be back. All right, I'm going to try and do all of this so that you can see everything I'm doing where you'll know. And you just open up. You've done waffles before. This is kind of the same thing, and I think you can do that. It says use a spoon, but I did that. Now, we're going to open this up and pretty much divide it in half. We want two of them. We're making 2 calzones, and I may have to put some cornmeal down or something to keep this from being sticky. But from what I read, you just ball it up like this right here, and then we're going to proof it. Now, you know, I've never proofed waffle pizza dough before, but it's worth doing, and you've got the device to do it. Again, it's a little tricky on its temps, but to cut to the chase, it doesn't get all the way to 95. But again, I got a video, and you can watch what it does. But I usually proof pizza dough at room temperature. Now this may be tricky because it's layered, and but it said store-bought pizza dough. But anyhow, like I said, I usually proof doughs at room temp. So although I've got that set for 95, it only got to 84, I believe it was, in my test. So, and 84 is a little warmer than room temperature, so I'm good with that. But while that's proofing, I'm going to drop both of these in this pan like you're supposed to. You put them in this pan. And again, now I put like a half a cup of water. It calls for a quarter cup, but because I'm doing it ahead of time and letting it preheat, I went ahead and used a half a cup. Now, I don't know how these lines are going to act. And last night, the one I did was excellent. It just got way overdone, if you ask me. It was way too dark, and I got video of that. I'll drop in. And I pulled it 6 minutes before the 30 minutes they asked for, and it was still really pretty much darker than I wanted. I'll put it like that. And if I had left it the full 30 minutes, it would have been really bad. I'm going to spray this. They don't say it, but I'm going to put a little olive oil in there because I don't want it sticking. And I can't imagine olive oil hurting it. So I'm going to put that there. And that's been running for about close to 15 minutes. I'm good with that. So I'm going to get this in, and then I'm going to start cutting up the stuff that's going in mine. And going to go from there. I'll show you where my water level is just so you'll know. Right there. That's just a little bit of water. They call for a quarter cup, which would probably been fine, but you can see the size of them, just to let you know that too. You can see that's how they look as we go in before the 30-minute proofing. So when I close it back, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the 30 minutes, which means I'm going to have to turn it on to get all this stuff ready, but that gives me 30 minutes. I should be able to do that. We'll see. But anyhow, I'll be back. I'm going to get all that ready, and we'll make some calzones. All right, just in case you wanted to know, here's what I do. Just kind of stack up 6 or 7 pieces, which is about enough for 1 calzone. And I'm going to mix pepperoni and Genoa salami. I like them both. You could do one of the other, but I'm going to mix both of these together. And I just like, in a calzone, I think it should be a bite-sized piece. Now I got this is Hormel, by the way, and I got it through one of those, if I can find it right here. I got it from one of these. And that way you kind of got other stuff you can do with it if you don't use them, and you kind of get a variety. And that's what I use. I mean, you know, it's not that big a deal. If you get too little or too much, just don't use it or cut more. It's as simple as that. So what I'm going to do is cut that up. I'm going to get that out of there because I want to use it. Like I said, I'm going to split those between the two. And now I'm going to do the same thing with some spinach. I'm going to cut up some of these shiitake and a little bit of basil. And I've actually got another pack of this open somewhere, so I'm going to cut up some mozzarella. Common sense stuff, you know all this. But anyhow, now you know. I'll be back. All right, just wanted to show you this right quick. You may already know, but spinach really cooks away, and there's not a lot of room in there to put it in, but I've already put a bunch in here and then just pack it down. But I also take these and just take some scissors and just kind of cut them up a little bit. And again, I may not use all of this, but I usually drop it in and look for stuff like that, great big stems, and then just get them out of there. No big deal if you don't. Be honest with you, it's the same thing. And then, like I said before, I pack it down a little bit. I just hit it a couple of times with my scissors and cut a stem or two if I see it. And one more time, and then just pack it down till you know, like I said, you're making 2, by the way, keep that in mind. But spinach does go away, so you want to get as much as you can in there. That's all I'm going to worry about. This is not about this as much the making a perfect calzone. It's more about seeing how well this does with, you know, this kind of stuff. So same thing here. In fact, I'm going to slow down before I hurt myself. But you get the idea. I'm just making stuff to put in a calzone, and I got to get that out here and grate some Parmesan somewhere and cut up some of this. Be back. Okay, just for the record, that is probably a half of one of these, what I didn't use last night. And that is what's in this bowl that I'm going to do the same thing with. I'm just going to cut it. I love using kitchen shears. All I wanted is somewhat drained, and I will drain off some of that liquid. I mean, you could do this just as easy with a knife, but I kind of got used to using this kind of stuff, and it does work real well. You can see that's how I did these shiitake mushrooms. I just put them in there on top of the Genoa and the pepperoni. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to finish these. I may have to pick them up and do that, but then I've also got to grate some Parmesan on here, and I've got 19 minutes left, so I'm ahead of schedule. But I want to have it done as soon as I can. As you can tell, I kind of get edgy. I got to get in a hurry. But anyhow, I'll be back. All right, I got done ahead of schedule. Got 12 minutes left, and I've got everything right here as a filling. There is the basil and the spinach. Here is the Parmesan and the mozzarella. There's my my Rayo's pizza sauce. Now what we got to do is get those out after they've risen, and I want to say proofed, and roll them down to an 8-inch square, and then we got to get them in this basket, 2 of them. So just to let you know, that's kind of how I do it. And you see, you got plenty of time to get all your mix-ins ready, all your fillings ready. I'm used to talking about the Ninja Creamy, but all your fillings are ready before you pull your proofed dough out. Be back. All right, we're coming up on the end of the 30 minutes. Now, I am going to put a little cornmeal, or actually this is cornbread mix, because I couldn't find my cornmeal or semolina I've used before, but this works fine. I've used it a bunch of times, but I don't want it sticking, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit, but let's see what we got right now. Oh yeah, they rose a little bit, maybe not a lot, but it's store-bought dough, you know. I'm not real sure, and I'll just say they're not, I'm going to say warm, but it doesn't matter. We're fixing to make calzones either way. So I'm going to get a little bit of that cornmeal on here, and then we're going to make this hopefully into an 8-inch round. Make sure you can still see what I'm doing, because I did move that camera around a little bit. And I would say they are definitely room temperature. I mean, they shouldn't be warm. To be honest with you, they should be room temperature. So let's just see what we get after I roll it a couple of times and let it kind of breathe a minute. I might do that to both of them and stretch them out. And I'm going to let that one lay a minute right here. Spread a little bit more of that right there and get the other one out and start it. Just kind of let them relax, I guess you'd say. And let me get a little bit of that on it on all sides. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get somewhere around 8 inches. And I'm not far from it now, but still, it ain't quite there, and I'm not in a hurry, so I can give them a minute to kind of lay there and stretch out a minute. So I'm going to leave them just like that a minute, and I'll be back. Well, that literally was about a minute. I'm not, you know, I don't know. I don't think they're really far from where they got to be right now. They do, you know, they kind of shrink back up. Not a big deal, because you can see right now, let's see, where am I at on it? I'm still shy of of the 8 inches. This is the 8-inch line, that dark red one right there. So I can get it there. I just don't want to tear a hole in it. And I did do that last night on one of them, so I'm trying to be a little bit more careful. And you'll have to be too. Now this dough is a little different than last night's, but there's nothing wrong with it so far. We'll see how it looks when it's cooked. But I may call that one right there done. And like I said, I turned the camera off for maybe a minute. I mean, right at a minute. It wasn't long. I probably should have just left it running. But once I turned it off, I could tell they were done what they were done doing what they were going to do. So I'm going to kind of stretch it out by hand and then roll it. But the one we had last night, or the one I had last night, and then the one we ate today was really, really good. There was nothing wrong with them. And you can see it's fairly easy. And I'm about to call this one done too. I mean, they ain't got to be perfect. So, after I do that one, I may roll that one again before I put the stuff on it. Like I said, just trying to be real careful. I don't want to make a hole, because I did that last night. So, one more roll, and we're going to put some stuff on here. And then we're going to get it in that air frying basket over there. So, right now, I got more stuff that I'm going to need, I can see. But it ain't no crisis. I can use it later or whatever. But you see what I'm doing. I'm just piling stuff on. I'm going to add this now. I better shake that up a little bit. I'm going to put, they call for 2 tablespoons. Let's just see how that looks. And I think that's about right. I'll take 2 tablespoons. That works. You don't want to, obviously overload it. And then this. Now this right here, the spinach does cook down a lot. But I don't know about that much. You're supposed to wet your fingers. I don't know how important this part is, but I'm going to do it. Kind of go across right here and then some right here. And you can see how scientific this is. It ain't. And then I'm going to make this work. And I had to do this last night too. I had stuff hanging out. It doesn't matter. It'll look a lot different when it's cooked. And even if it don't, it's edible. So I'm going to move this to right here. And just kind of pinch the ends as I try and cram some of that back in. And some of it's not going to go. So I'll let it come out if I need to. And then you're supposed to put the flat edges together. So that's what I got. And now, take my word, I was leery of it last night. I did just poke a hole in that one, but it's okay. We got to cut slits in it anyhow. You're supposed to cut 3 slits in the top. I got a hole in that one, so it looks critical. And I'm not saying it's not, but it didn't, last night's didn't look all that great when I put it in either. But when I pulled it out, it did, and it tasted excellent. So, I don't know you can see what I'm doing anymore, but it's the same thing as I did on the other one. Mozzarella and the Parmesan, some of the Genoa salami and the pepperoni, and that might be a little more than I needed there, but again, we're learning, and this way, I'll know next time if it is too much, but it's not. I mean, especially with the spinach, it's going to cook away. I'm going to put a little bit more of it in there. And then I'm going to make a little bit of room as you can just to wet that edge, which I ain't sure how critical that is, but I'm going to do it. And a little bit more right here. And you can see just how scientific this can be. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Like I said, just make it work. That's what I'm doing. And it'll work. I'm telling you, they're very good. They just are. If you like pizza, you'll like a calzone. I'm going to move this to right here. And I got to get my hands right. I'm going to put that right there. And then I'm going to finish pressing those edges together right there. I got to cut those 3 slits because I did forget that last night. And I'm going to press it just a little bit more, and then I'm going to show it to you. There it is. There they look. I mean, like I said, they're not, this is not a professional, calzone. This is my homemade calzone in my Ninja Foodi. So now, close the lid. We set it to air fry. I'm going to go, I know it's 340 for 30 minutes, but I'm going to double check. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't set it to air fry. That's what this is all about. Steam and crisp. And 340. And they call for 30 minutes. Now, we're going to check. Last night I didn't. But tonight we are. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 30. But I'm going to check it around 20. Because last night, with 7 minutes left, it was browner than I wanted. But now that was a different dough and all the above. But you can see steam and crisp, 340, 30 minutes. We're off and running. It's vented and everything. So off we go. See y'all in a little bit. And I guess we're fixing to find out what one of them's like without that. Because I did. I forgot to put it in. This getting in a hurry stuff and video and throws me off. But we're about to see. Okay, kind of the same situation I ran into last night, except I just kept letting it run without checking it. Well, I'm only at like 12 minutes and they asked for 30. I'm at 340. Well, look at this. If you ask me, those are done, and I just checked them. They're 174 internal. I'll show you that. And we're going to let that sit just, well, that was 190. It's according to where you stab it, but it's done, my point. So what I'm going to do is get that out of there. I'm going to let it sit just a minute. Make sure my camera's still good. And I'm going to kind of get it off that heat as fast as I can, and that, just the heat. And get it set out right here. I'm going to let it cool a minute, and then we're going to pull one of those out. But there's what they look like right now. And there's no doubt in my mind, those are done. I'm not sure if I'm doing something different, but anyhow, they're done. So I'm going to close this, cut it off, and let that rest a minute and get one of those out of there. Be back. All right, total disclosure. I'm going to move that off of my board because there's some of that marinara dripping, and I don't want to worry about it staining my board. So I'm going to knock that off of there. Now you know why it's on that pan. Okay, it sat here for, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes, and we're going to see how well it does. And so far so good, but let's see. Got to break it free from the other one. And then I got to get under that crust, hopefully. And under that cheese that kind of ran through. And I think we have it. And there it is. And now, in total disclosure, I got in such a hurry, I forgot to put marinara on this one. Well, I read up a little bit. A calzone, I think it is, either a Stromboli or a calzone is meant to be served with the sauce on the side. So I'm going to pretend like I did that on purpose. But what we're going to do, if we're going to open this one up, because that's the one that's the recipe shows like, and it looks excellent. And if it's like anything like that one last night, although that one last night got a lot darker, you'll see in the videos, there was nothing wrong with it. It tasted fantastic. So I'm going to cut it right here. And you can hear the crust. Well, let me do that. I'll put it where you can kind of hear it and see it. I think that's what the proofing helps the crust, I'm sure. And I think the steam helps that. The steam and the crust, it just helps. So, quite honestly, I'm going to make a couple of pictures. And I'm going to get this, then we're going to cut it up and I'm going to taste it. So, I'll be back. All right, let's try it. It looks excellent. And honestly, I tasted some of the cheese out of there and that mozzarella. It just works. And so does this, I think. And you can see the crust by itself. Let's just do it. The crust is as good as you might expect. And the cheeses and the spinach, the basil, the sauce, all of it's an excellent flavor. It just is. And if you like pizza, you're going to like that. And you can see it's spot on. And the crust is good. The crust has got a really good, I don't have to tell you that's good, cheese and pepperoni and Genoa salami is going to be good. And that is similar to a real, if you ask me, excellent pizza crust. A little bit of chew and a little bit of crunch. I mean, and the mushrooms. That'll work. That'll be a hit. This one, but I can pick it up by hand, and I can. The cheese ran out of that one on the edge, but we're going to look at it anyhow. I'm not going to try and destroy it because I probably will eat this one tomorrow. But just so you'll know what one looks like without sauce, and I'll be quiet where you can kind of hear the crust. And again, I think more especially if you dipped it in that marinara over there, and if I was doing it other than trying to video it, it would be excellent. It would be better, but it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. And dipping it in there or pouring that on there, and that's the way what I understand a lot of people serve it. I think, I want to say it was Johnny's New York Pizza I went to one time. They told me the only difference between the Stromboli and a calzone was the sauce served on the side, but I don't know that for sure. Anyhow, hey, make you a calzone in your one-lid Ninja. It works real well. I think steaming helps bread. I just do. So I like this, and I'm sure I'll do it again. Y'all have a good night. Come back to see me. I love y'all all, and bye-bye. Okay, I just wanted to show y'all this test I did tonight. And we're coming up on almost a full 30 minutes that I set this up for at 95 degrees. Well, last night when I pulled that dough ball out, I didn't think it was 95. So I set up a thermometer in it tonight. And after full 30 minutes, it's only 84 degrees on that thermometer. I actually have two in there, and it's only 84 on that one. Now, I'm probably not going to mess with that. In fact, you can't. You can't go up any higher. That's as high as this unit will go when it's set to proofing. The only thing I may do different is, because I'm good with 84, I usually proof my doughs at room temp, which is probably 75 or whatever, you know. All I'm probably going to do different is in here it calls for a 1/4 cup of water to put in there. Well, what I'm going to probably do is put a 1/2 cup of water, and I'll just start this a little early because, like I think I said it, but anyhow, it took it about 7 or 8 minutes for it to get to 84. So I'm just going to start it a little early, make sure it's preheated all the way to 84, and then put it in for the 30 minutes they want. So anyhow, I don't know how I'm going to put this in the video, but I'll figure out something and it'll be there.